What's happening right now in the trucking industry should terrify every single American worker, whether you drive a truck or not. Because what we're witnessing isn't just another company going under. It's a calculated dismantling of the American working class, wrapped up in the corporate speak and delivered with a smile. 10 Roads Express, the United States Postal Service's one of the largest carriers, just announced they're shutting down completely within 60 days. That's 2,600 to 3,300 truck drivers, depending on which numbers you trust, who are about to lose their jobs right now before the holidays roll into the new year. But here's what nobody in the media is telling you. This didn't happen by accident. This was orchestrated. Let me paint you the full picture. Because story you're getting from most outlets is sanitized corporate nonsense designed to make you look the other way. 10 Roads Express has been moving mail for the USPS for decades. We're talking about a company with operational roots stretching back to 1946. That's almost 80 years of service to the American postal system. In 2022 alone, they were pulling in over $700 million in contracts. $700 million. That's not some mom and pop operation struggling to make payroll. This was a massive, profitable enterprise that kept America's mail moving while providing thousands of families with solid middle-class incomes. And now, poof, gone. 60 days notice and you're out on your backside. The company's official statement reads like every other corporate goodbye letter you've ever seen. They talk about difficult decisions and thanking employees for their years of committed service. It's the same hollow language every failing company uses when they're abandoning their workforce. But let's dig into what actually happened here. Because the timeline tells a story that should make your blood boil. Earlier this year, in February, hundreds of 10 Roads Express drivers went on strike. The Teamsters accused the company of unfair labor practices and refusing to bargain in good faith for a fair contract. These weren't drivers asking for champagne wishes and caviar dreams. They were fighting for basic dignity and fair compensation for the work they do. And here's where it gets really interesting. According to the drivers themselves, the USPS was already undercutting them. They were taking routes that the 10 Roads Express drivers had been running for years and putting them out on the open brokerage market, where they could get done for half the price. Half. So you've got experienced drivers who know the routes, who show up on time, who've been doing this job reliably for decades, and the USPS looks at them and says, yeah, but we can get some desperate contractor to do it cheaper. This is in the race to the bottom in action, and it's not just happening in trucking. It's happening across every sector of the American economy. Now some people want to blame the Teamsters for this. They'll say the strike was the final nail in the coffin, that the drivers got too greedy, that unions destroyed another American company. And look, I'm not here to tell you unions are perfect. No organization run by human beings is perfect. But let's be crystal clear about something. The Teamsters didn't make the USPS start shopping around for cheaper labor. The Teamsters did not force 10 Roads Express to back out of an agreement they reached in principle with their workers. The Teamsters did not create an economic system where companies are incentivized to constantly seek the absolute lowest bidder. Quality and loyalty gone. What the Teamsters did was fight back when their members were being systematically devalued, and replaced. And for that, they're being scapegoated. Think about the audacity of what happened here. The company and the union reached an agreement in principle. That means they'd worked out the major details. They were ready to move forward. And then the 10 Roads Express just walked away. They came back with what the Teamsters called unacceptable demands, essentially trying to claw back everything they've just agreed to. That's not negotiating in good faith. That's stalling. That's running out the clock until you can make your exit excuse me, and blame everyone else for the mess. Meanwhile, the USPS had already been bleeding routes away from 10 Roads Express since at least January of this year. The writing was on the wall, but nobody told the drivers until it was too late. Here's what I think really happened. And this is where you need to understand how the game is played at the corporate and government level. The USPS looked at their contracts and realized they could save money by breaking up these large dedicated contracts and putting them out to bid on the open market. It's the Amazon model, the Uber model, the gig economy model. Take stable middle-class jobs and turn them into precarious, low-paid contract work. No benefits, no job security, no pathway to retirement. Just desperate people competing against each other to drive wages into the basement. When 10 Roads Express drivers started pushing back through their union demanding fair and decent working conditions, the company saw an opportunity. They could let this strike drag on, watch the USPS continue to divert freight elsewhere, and then throw up their hands and say, well, sorry folks, we just can't make it work anymore. It's a convenient narrative. Blame the unions, blame the greedy workers. Don't look at the fact that the USPS is systematically dismantling the network of reliable carriers that have kept America's mail moving for generations. Don't ask why we're prioritizing the absolute lowest cost over quality service and fair wages. Don't question whether saving a few $1,000,000 on freight contracts is worth destroying thousands of middle-class jobs. Just accept that this is how business works now. And if you don't like it, well, you're just not being realistic about the modern economy. But here's what this really tells us about where America is headed. We're watching the controlled demolition of the working class in real time. Every sector, every industry, every job that used to provide a pathway to stability is being turned into a race to the bottom. And we're being told this is progress. We're being told this is efficiency. We're being told this is just the market working the way it's supposed to work. Meanwhile, people at the top, the executives at the USPS, the management at 10 Roads Express, the politicians who enable this system, they're all doing just fine. Their jobs aren't being put out to bid to the lowest contractor. Their livelihoods aren't being sacrificed on the altar of quarterly earnings reports. I want you to think about what this means for the drivers. Some of these guys have been with this company or the companies that became 10 Roads Express for nearly 2 decades. They've built their lives around these jobs. They bought houses, raised families, planned retirements based on the stability of this work. And now they're getting 60-day notice that's all over. 60 days to figure out whether they're going to work, how they're going to pay their mortgages, what they're going to tell their kids about why Christmas is going to be different this year. And for what? So the USPS can save a few percentage points on their transportation budget by hiring cheaper contractors who'll work for starving wages. This is the fundamental question we have to ask ourselves as a society. What are we willing to sacrifice for efficiency? Because efficiency isn't a moral good in itself. Slavery was efficient. Child labor was efficient. Paying people below subsistent wages while corporate profits soar is efficient. But is that the kind of country we want to live in? Do we want an economy where loyalty means nothing? Where decades of reliable service can be discarded the moment someone offers to do the job for less? Where workers have no power to negotiate for fair treatment because they're constantly being undercut by desperate people willing to accept less? The collapse of 10 Roads Express isn't just a trucking story. It's a microcosmos of what's happening across America. We're hollowing out the middle class, destroying stable employment, and replacing it with a precarious gig economy where everyone's expendable and nobody's secure. And we're doing it while pretending this is somehow inevitable, as if there is no other way to structure an economy, as if every other developed nation isn't managing to maintain better worker protections and higher standards of living. This is a choice. The USPS chose to prioritize cost savings over worker welfare. 10 Roads Express chose to walk away from negotiations rather than pay fair wages. And our political system has created an environment where these choices are not only possible, but rewarded. So when you see those 2,600 drivers losing their jobs, when you see another American company shutting down, when you see the Teamsters being blamed for fighting for fair treatment, remember what's really happening here. This is not about unions being too powerful or workers being too greedy. This is about a systematic effort to drive down wages, eliminate job security, and transfer wealth from working people to the top of the economic pyramid. And unless we wake up and demand better, unless we start holding companies and government agencies accountable for how they treat workers, this is just going to keep happening. The next company, the next industry, the next few thousand families will get 60 days notice that their stable middle-class life is over. The truth is, we're all 10 Roads Express drivers. We're all one contract cancellation, one cost-cutting measure, one efficiency initiative away from being told our services are no longer needed. And until we recognize that those are fates tied together, that what happened to truckers today will happen to office workers and teachers and nurses tomorrow, we're going to keep losing this fight. The people at the top understand class solidarity. They protect each other, they lobby together, they make sure their interests are always prioritized. It's time the rest of us learn the same lesson before there's nothing left to fight for. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.